let's see, I don't know how much this, she's the second. She's not the second. So I had a pair of scissors out there on the bench. If someone could get me the scissors and just a pair of scissors from up front. Let's do this dissection right now. Humbo's managed to avoid it. But before we even cut, you can see very clearly, there's ovaries. That's one. That's the other ovary. The ovaries remain in the abdominal cavity. And you can see closest to the ovary is this very, very thin squiggly tube here. Right? That's the fallopian tube. And the thicker tube, which is anchored to the wall by this broad ligament, right? This broad piece of connective tissue that anchors it to the dorsal wall of the abdominal cavity. Those are the uterine horns.
Were you going to be able to touch the pig? I mean, like, I see like you have.
No, you wouldn't have. No, I'll position it so that what I want you to see, you'll be able to see easily. If you have any question, you can just ask. But obviously, you have one student shifting it, and then the next student can't see the same thing. So you've got to keep things in the right position. But someone get that scissor?
Yeah, he got it.
Thanks, Nick. Nick is in an OR, in an actual surgical setting. Nick is the guy they never want to show up in the OR. And Nick, they finish surgery and they nick the colon. They say, we don't want to see Nick around in the OR. That is a joke they tell in ORs. I imagine surgeons named Nick have a real hard time. But anyway, if we go alongside the bladder and we go into the pelvic cavity here and we cut.
Do you mind pushing this flap open?
Putting what?
Pushing this flap open.
Well, let me just.
Can't see it.
You can't see that. Let me cut it first and then you'll be able to see everything. Just what I'm doing is cutting actually right through the pubic bone. Okay, that's called an episiotomy when they do it when you're delivering a baby. Ouch, right? Okay, so here we go. Now it's, you can see, this is the bone right here, where I cut. And then beneath that you can see basically 1, 2, 3 pipes. 1, 2, 3 pipes coming down. Urethra, vagina, and colon. Urethra, vagina, colon. And in this case, the urethra and vagina actually end up coming out separate openings. And of course in the male, the urethra carries the semen, which carries the sperm in it. But also notice that before the pig is born, these are still fetal pigs, right about here, about a centimeter above the bottom, you see the urethra and the vagina are still joined because they separate only shortly before birth. And behind it you have the colon, which has this greenish color. As you can see, it's a continuation of the colon right up here, because there is fecal matter in the colon even before birth. That's the green is the breakdown product of blood cells. So there you go, urethra, vagina, colon. Of course, the rest of the anatomy is pretty much the same, except for what I showed you before, the ovaries and the fallopian tubes and the uterine horns. Okay, so now I could ask you, sort of hybrid questions that test your knowledge of 2 different exercises. For example, I could ask you to identify the ovary in the female or the testis in the male and ask you about a hormone, right? So I could point to the ovary and say, what name a hormone secreted by this organ. Name this organ or gland and name a hormone secreted by it. So you could say ovary and estradiol or estrogen or progesterone, right? So just because this is chapter 21 doesn't mean I can't ask you a chapter 18 question as a part of the B question. It's all. Oh, you don't, was that directed at me? Don't,
Yeah.
not know that?
Possibly, if you're gonna take, that suggestion, then yes, it's directed at you.